near to far, double tap, all the big ones. Shooter ready. Stand by. Beep. 900. Double feed. 81, 970, 700. All right, folks. I'm up here at the range today, and I got here about 15 minutes, and a thunderstorm was happening just a couple miles away. And then I got basically gale force winds while I was shooting, and now the rain's following it. So I'm sitting under cover in my buddy's patio here. We call him Lanai's in Hawaii, and just waiting out the rain. Give you a little update on what I'm into. I have the barrel tensioner in, and I'm really getting the crossman premiers dialed in and trying to find that sweet spot. And right now it seems to be just above 1,000 feet per second is the precise kind of accuracy. I can take them all the way up to about 1,055, and then they start to open up a little bit, which is interesting because in the past I had a pretty decent success at 1,068 when I didn't have the tensioner on and I had the less twist in the barrel. So maybe the higher twist that starts to spiral funny or something. They're working really good from 25 to basically 65. Doing really well kind of everywhere in between. And I have some 1-inch holes in my target, and I'm shooting them through the 1-inch holes at even 1,055 feet per second at 50 yards. Of course, if I try and film that, it probably won't happen, but right now I've shot about 150 shots already today from 1,000 feet per second all the way to 1,070, and everything from 1,000 to 1,055 has been really good. What I found is, I know the popular thing and the correct way to tune is to run the low air pressures, probably somewhere around 80-90 bar. Yes, that works good when the pellets are going slower, but I have not found that so far when the pellets are going faster. And as you probably know, and I'm sure it's very controversial, except for with pros that are shooting slugs, running the higher regulator pressures. When I first got the gun, it shot really good in that 800, 900 feet per second range with the stock tune, or the tune that Top Gun air guns put on it. I don't know where the tune came from, but anyway, it was shooting really good, and I think it was like 85 bar. But I ended up playing with it all the way up to 140 bar, and with the stock barrel, no tensioner. I think I did have the carbon sleeve in it. I had the gun on 140 bar, and I was shooting 1,068 feet per second average with the Crossman Premiers, and they were shooting basically half-inch groups at 50 yards. So you can see that in my community section, I guess it is. I don't know, instead of going with my instincts, I started to try and shoot the lower pressures again. Never really got to a sweet spot. I always ended up somewhere at like 110 bar, and that was pretty consistent. But I've been putting it back at 140, and I've had the gun on 140 for like 3 weeks now, and it's consistently good. And I've been using the valve to tune back the first shot inconsistency, because I'm still dealing with some regulator issues. So I'm a huge fan of Ernest Rowe, and he's not a fan of Huma. I don't know what's going on there, don't care. But I think he thinks that Huma stole FX's design, and maybe they did, I have no idea. But I've used Huma products in the past, and I'm kind of a fan of them for the most part. And I ordered a Huma regulator for my gun because the stock one hasn't been very consistent. I took the stock one out and I polished the faces of the regulator, put it back in, and it's still really creepy on me. So I've got this 140 bar setting. It's 140 to 141. If it sits just for like a minute, it sits at 140, and then if it sits for like 10 minutes, it sits at 142. But when I'm shooting and it just has that like 30-second recovery or whatever, it's at 140. So I'll call it 140 bar tune. And when I pick up the gun, like in the morning, it's at like 152. So I'm getting like 12 creep on the thing, and that's not acceptable. I have the older regulators in my Maverick, and they don't creep like that. But in fairness, it has a dual, so it is taking it down from, I think I have it set on 200 bar on my first regulator and 170, and this is on my 30 cal on the second regulator. I ordered the Huma, the high pressure Huma, to deal with that, and when I got it, it wasn't working. I took it in and out of the gun 3 times, but the stock went in twice and it worked perfectly. FX Fanboy was helping me try and diagnose it. I mean, I'm not an air gunsmith, but I know my way around guns, and air guns are pretty simple to me, honestly. And it just wasn't working. So I contacted Huma support, and they got back to me real quick. I took some pictures and I showed them. I measured everything. It's got a 16mm piston, blah, blah, blah. And they told me that they had some in production that didn't get holes drilled in the bottom of the regulator piston, or in the top of the regular piston. And so I took a picture of it for him, and I could see it too. He had sent me one where it's supposed to have a little hole in the top, and they thought they took them all out of production, but apparently I got the 111 that was still left in the batch, and they sent me out new parts free of charge. They sent me out a rebuild kit free of charge. And I also tell them that I needed a pellet probe, a 22 pellet probe for my Maverick, because I'm gonna try and take my 30 caliber Maverick and shoot the slugs out of it with my old 700 barrel. I have a bunch of 31 grain slugs and 25s and 25 pellets and stuff, and my Maverick already has a slug kit in it for the 30. It might be a little bit too much for the 22 cal, we'll see, but I did get it to shoot pellets at one point pretty good, so I'm thinking that if I can get my 30 cal to shoot pellets, then it will be fine shooting slugs, heavy slugs, out of with the 22. They sent me out the probe free of charge and said sorry for inconvenience. So as far as like Huma support goes, they've been stellar for me. I've used their chat feature, even though they're in a way different time zone than me. It's 12 hours difference, I think, to wherever they're at. Can't remember, Belgium or Norway or some sort of thing. They've gotten back to me in really speedy time. So I want to give a shout out to Huma. They've been great to me. Anyway, long story long, that's where I'm at. Just waiting out this rainstorm so that I can go unpack all my gear and not have it full of leaves and fire ants and rain and everything else. And I imagine another 20 minutes I'll be able to shoot again. But I am gonna test the 150 bar also. And the only thing that sucks is, and this may change, with the Huma reg, I might be able to run 300 bar on my bottles again, because I have 300 bar bottles. I've got 1, 2, 4, 5 bottles. I've got them from 300 cc's all the way up to 2 700 cc bottles, and I run them all at 250 bar so that I can try and get some more consistency out of those stock regulators. So maybe I can run the 300 bar bottle again with the Huma regulator and try 150 bar on the second stage, which is the only stage in the M4. See if I can get it to tighten up a little bit more, because right now I'm getting, my SDs are right at between 2 and 3 with the Crossman Premiers, and my extreme spreads somewhere around like 14 to 20, which isn't really too bad. But I'm thinking that this new regulator will probably take care of that. And the other thing is the stacking in the stock regulator. It's a little bit more progressive. I think they use a bunch of thinner springs instead of fewer, stiffer springs. And I really don't know much about regulators at all, so this is totally me guessing. I'm thinking that because I run the higher pressures, the Huma reg will work better. It uses 8 stiff springs, thicker springs, I should say, instead of, or washers, instead of a bunch of thinner ones that would probably be a little bit better for the lower pressures. And so I'm thinking that, hoping that I might finally be to the end of all this, and I'm actually have the ability, because my gun is consistent now, to practice, and we're getting it dialed in so I can shoot these faster speeds with pellets. And I know that a lot of people don't understand why I want to do that. I want to shoot budget. That's why I want cheap pellets. I want to shoot faster, and I realize that that's what where slugs come in, and I might use slugs. They're not budget. I just like the crisp feel of the gun, and I like the time to the target where it just goes snap, 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 snap. I don't like that pink, pink from pellet guns. I do like the quietness in my house, so I can't really shoot consistently in my house with the higher speeds, which kind of sucks when I run the gun up to 150, 40 or 50 bar, because it does snap, and I don't have a lower speed. The slowest my gun shoots at 140 bar with the hammer spring that I have is 850 feet per second. That's with my valve dialed in quite a bit. So in my house, it's a little bit too much of a crack to like shoot a whole bunch in my house. I just don't want neighbors to complain, I guess is what I should say. It's like, oh, it's just shooting constantly. I can hear my one neighbor over there. It's like, that thing, what is that thing? It sounds like an air gun. So I've never talked to him about it, but I don't want anybody to complain. And he's a hunter. He's got like head skulls and stuff all over in his yard, so I really don't think he cares. But I just don't want there to be any complaints, because I don't want to lose the ability to walk out my door and just do a little bit of testing. So I come up and do all the volume shooting up here. All right, so that's it for now.